Welcome to the live. Tonight we're doing the SDGs, which is a part of our Agenda 2030 live decodes. We've done 4 so far. We just finished education. And now we're into gender equality, and we'll also cover water pretty quickly in the background as well.
Yeah, so 5 and 6, gender equality and water sanitation as well.
So you can look this up on
Agenda 30 is
Agenda
SDGs.
30, so sdgs.un.org if you want to go and follow along to the pretty pictures that they make or anything.
And SDG stands for Sustainable Development Goals that they've put out in the Paris Agreement in 2015 as a set of 17 goals that they want to achieve by 2030. But behind those goals, there is a lot of information.
And you didn't sign for this and you didn't vote for this. Our politicians did for you, without any referendum, without any debate, public debates. They've just gone off and, been fondling the WEF in the background and the UN. And
197 countries signed this.
We need to push back. Our governments are just signing our lives away to people who are unelected bureaucrats, and I consider them all evil. They're not good. They're not here for the betterment of humans. They're here to profit and destroy. That's their job.
And now just remember too that these are written in a very passive-aggressive way, so that when you read them, if you say anything against them, you look like you're misogynistic or you're racist or you're someone terrible, because they're saying things like gender equality and talking about women and how we deserve, to be have less violence and things like that. And who doesn't want that? It's not like I'm sitting here as a woman saying that I want to be oppressed and that I think that that's a great idea. Absolutely not. But what they're doing under the guise of these wonderful altruistic viewpoints is hiding what actually they're implementing. And that's what the scary part is.
It's all gaslighting, all of it.
It's all a big front for a bigger purpose at play. And we've got to recognise what that is, what that bigger purpose is.
It's a reset, 2030 reset. And, and as you all know, we're going to do gender equality, which is number 5.
Very touchy subject, because look, I'm a woman who, of course, I've got a daughter, I've got sons. Oh my God, I forgot that it's Monday. You have to answer them later. That's annoying.
It is. So you're like, I'm a woman, I'm a mother.
Yeah. So I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I've got, a daughter, I've got sons. I don't want any of them to feel like their gender is going to hold them back from anything. In my life, my gender, living as an Australian in the Western world, hasn't held me back from anything. No. I do understand and recognise violence against women. I'm not saying that's not an issue that needs to be addressed, but my husband agrees that that's a problem. My boys agree that's a problem. They're not saying that they think that's a great idea either. But what we're saying is that what is the pinnacle? What do we have to get to in order to address those issues? It's not the United Nations. They're not going to fix that problem. So just remember that.
It's within your heart already. You either know what you should be doing or you don't. And if the UN needs to tell you how to act, you shouldn't even be here.
And also, culturally, there are going to be issues around the world where there are inequalities, then that's not great. And they don't agree with any of those things either. But I just think that they're trying to address this as a feel bad, oh my gosh, we're wrecking the planet, we're bashing women. That's a really, awful thing to kind of put up in perspective and say, let's break this down, because it looks like we are disagreeing with that idea, but we're not. We're just saying, look at the front and then look what's behind it. So they're presented as a blueprint for a perfect world, a roadmap to end poverty, protect the planet, and build a global utopia by 2030. That's how they're kind of presented.
Yeah, right.
It sounds beautiful. Who wouldn't want that? But what if that blueprint isn't a path to freedom? What if hidden inside these humanitarian goals is a trap, a two-pronged attack designed to capture something even more fundamental than your rights, something more essential than your politics? What if the goal is to capture your soul and your body? This isn't about a theory about hating equality or clean water. Of course we want those things. This is a decode that's written behind all the fluff. We're looking at 2 specific goals tonight, SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. So on the surface, they're impeachable. But when you can trace the implementation, a different pattern emerges. One goal targets your spiritual and biological identity, seeking to homogenize it into something malleable and state-defined. The other targets the very element that sustains your physical life, building the infrastructure for ultimate biological control. This is about the end of natural law and the beginning of a managed existence. Let's start with the war on what you are. So the beautiful lie, SDG 5's humanitarian mask. So SDG 5, gender equality. It's a goal that everyone's supposed to applaud. It's presented as justice, as empowerment, as the final correction of historical wrongs against women and girls. The UN's language is flawless. It talks about ending discrimination, ensuring participation, guaranteeing equal rights. It's the perfect humanitarian mask, and that's the bait, because who in their right mind would argue against safety and opportunity for women? You're not supposed to question this. You're supposed to accept the surface narrative and move on. But the first crack in the narrative appears in the language itself. Notice the shift. It's not called women's equality, it's called gender equality. That word swap is everything. Woman is a biological and spiritual reality. Gender is a fluid, expansive sociological category. This isn't a semantic accident. It's the foundation of the entire operation. The core tension here is that the stated goal of elevating women is a decoy. The real goal, visible in the technical documents, is to dissolve the distinction between masculine and feminine entirely, to erase the binary, to homogenize identity into a spectrum of state-managed categories. The spiritual stakes are everything. Masculine and feminine aren't just social ideas and outdated stereotypes. They're the primal creative dualities found in every ancient wisdom tradition. They're in the sun, in the moon, in the seed and the soil, in the very structure of creation and within our own internal balance. This duality is a natural law. It's a sacred reality, right?
It is. Well, it used to be anyway. So.
Well, think about it, like even a wall plug, you know, even a screw or those things are male, female, aren't they? Because one goes into the other, like, well, they're different, they're in balance, they balance together, they form something together.
Totally.
And they have differences, and that's okay, right?
And all these SDGs are written by sickos, so that's all they are.
Yeah.
Most of these men probably wear dresses in their off time and do weird shit. Well, we definitely know they do weird shit. The files are coming out slowly. So just remember that. Remember who's writing your future. And if you don't agree with this, surely you won't agree with how they act as a person themselves either, because pretty disgusting, really, the lot who are doing this in the background.
And so. I also think that what defines you as your reality of masculine and feminine can be blurred for different people. I'm not saying that I don't accept people that have a different identity or they don't, necessarily fit those categories.
Which is fine. I just don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I don't care who's doing what with who. None of my business.
But
so
that's
don't tell
right.
me.
Is that I don't feel like it needs to be
public
something
knowledge
that becomes written into law as this has now changed, that we're not allowed to discuss that where I'm a feminine entity or you're a masculine entity, because that's bizarre to me.
It is bizarre. It's totally bizarre.
So how do you dismantle a sacred natural reality? You don't attack it head on. You start by changing the words that everyone uses. You rewrite the language. And then once the language is soft and malleable, you go for the source of the next generation. You go for the children.
They definitely have. Our children, they're all homeschooled, yet they know everything about gender crap. Like, I don't know why they care, but they do, and they're homeschooled. So
their friends
it's
tell
deep,
them
it's everywhere, and it's such a big deal. And the kids are so passionate about it. They, oh my God, the emotions that run wild. And again, kids are pretty stupid. They don't even know what they're thinking half the time, and they're just being fed bullshit. So, it's quite disturbing. As a father, I find the whole thing very disturbing, and as a male, I find it very disturbing. As
a female, I find it disturbing.
Yeah, so, again, just look at the people who are telling us that this is how it has to be, they're not exactly moral compasses, let's put it that way.
So rewriting identity through language and education. Let's look at the tools. The first one is linguistic. In 2022, a group within the UN called UN Globe published a document titled Pronouns Guidance. And it explicitly instructs UN personnel to avoid using he or she. Instead, it mandates the use of they, them for individuals, or encourages people to create their own invented pronouns. What's an invented pronoun?
Oh, God. Stop it. Just stop this shit show. Stop it. I'm done. Let me off. Nah, it's enough.
Now, on one level, we're not going to get angry. We're just going
I'm not
to
angry.
do the decode.
I'm just telling me to get me off this planet.
This
quick,
is the
smart.
SDG that I knew would trigger you.
So dumb.
But they are. They're all interlined together.
And number 5 too. So it's in their top 5.
Yes.
Typical. You know, the bottom ones will be the number 17 and all the
How
other
to
extras.
make
They're
it
the ones
happen.
you need. Yeah, they're the ones you need to really give a shit about. But no, let's put up gender in number 5.
So on one level, you can frame this as inclusivity, but step back and see the mechanism. This is a formal directive from within the global government's body to strip back biological sex from official language. It's not a suggestion from a grassroots movement, it's a mandate from the top designed to create a homogenised, neutralised linguistic field where a man and a woman are phased out of professional communication. The binary reality is being erased from the record, one email, one report, one policy document at a time.
One he, she at a time.
And I don't know if you can use them together. I'm not sure of the rules. I don't know the rules.
I just invented one. It just said I can invent them.
That one's already existing though. I don't know. Are you allowed to use them together? Maybe.
Well, I'm reworking and inventing.
Maybe you can actually.
I can.
So we can use either or for you.
That's it.
So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I identify as annoyed most of the time.
But language control is just the first layer. The second is classification. The UN Economic Commission for Europe, so the UNECE, so they're a big sub-branch of the UN.
There's so many sub-branches.
They've got so
It's a load
many.
of
They spend
bullshit.
so much money, of the world's money. Maintain something called the Gender Code List. This is a technical document for, it isn't just a technical document for statistics. And it doesn't have 2 codes for male and female. It has over 100 codes for non-binary, genderqueer, two-spirit, and dozens of other categories as well. Think about what this means. A spiritual and biological duality, a sacred creative tension is being transformed into a bureaucratized data point. It's being turned into a drop-down menu on a government form. This isn't just about freedom, it's about management. You can't manage what you can't categorise and count. This code list is the blueprint for turning innate human identity into a state-sanaged variable. And these frameworks don't just stay in the UN headquarters, they flow directly into the systems that shape the next generation, our education pipelines. The link is direct. UN agencies provide the policy frameworks and the technical guidance that national governments then implement as curriculum. So us in Australia, the state of Victoria, rolled out a mandatory program, this through the school
More
system,
mandates.
called Respect for Relationships. It's often shortened to RRRR.
It's piracy, I tell you. Arr.
4 R's, okay? So it's a bit tricky to say that
It's
all.
dumb. It's just stupid.
The materials for foundation, which foundation is like little kids, like so we're talking like
5-year-olds.
5 and 6-year-olds.
Yeah, they don't need to know any of this
Yeah,
shit.
include lessons on gender diversity, and the explicit goal is to teach children that their gender identity is different from their biological sex at the age of 5 and 6, so prep level, like kinder level.
These are the pedos who write all this shit.
And that's in our
what they're
school
doing.
system in Australia
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
So our kids aren't in the school system,
No.
just as a disclaimer, and they haven't been for a long time.
No.
But this was part of the reason we were seeing some of
we
this
pulled them
unfold
for
from
this crap.
2015. 2015 kind of set the benchmark where they were starting to write these SDGs into
And
the
they also
curriculums.
put religion into public schools. They had the.
It's all part of this.
You know, it's all the same shit. Whatever. It's just ridiculous.
So the lesson in this RRRR program tells teachers
He, she. He's a he, she, I told you.
The lesson tells teachers to explain that gender is how you feel on the inside, while sex is your body. For a kindergarten child, this is an education. It's fundamental confusion of their developing sense of self, deliberately severing their internal identity from their physical reality. Then there's the teaching resource based on the show First Day, put out by the Australian Children's Television Foundation. It's a story about a child transitioning gender at school. Calm down. The resource guide presents this as a simple, positive narrative for other children to absorb. The message is clear. The affirmation is only the acceptable response. Any natural childhood curiosity or question is framed as potential bigotry. This is how you engineer a social consent in a new generation. You make the new dogma the baseline for being a good person. And woven through these lessons is a sexualization that's completely age inappropriate. Concepts about sexuality and intimate relationships are introduced under the blanket term of diversity and inclusion, often before a child has any stable understanding of their own body. It creates confusion about where should be natural gradual development. It injects complexity into childhood innocence.
That's the plan, isn't it? Just strip away innocence and, you know, throw you all into the pit of hell.
But if you do it very young, just like I always think about this as Christianization, like when everybody was told they're going to go to hell if they're naughty. And
they're all scared.
You know, and that all the kids were scared. You went to a Catholic school.
I wasn't scared. Couldn't give a shit. Like, take me to hell. I'm not going anywhere with all these losers. God.
But everyone you knew who was there was, weren't they?
Yeah. Most people really thought, you know, hell was real and, you know, and the devil's going to get them if they were ever naughty or whatever, or touched their dick or did anything. So, you know.
That gross stuff was already like kind of brought in. That natural kind of curiosities were taught as bad. And I
was taught by priests who wear black dresses. They were already cross-dressing when I was at school. So this is of no bloody surprise at all.
And they're not supposed to even have intercourse anyway, are they? So who are they to teach everyone about what not to do?
And look what they've been up to. So again, not be trusting this shit, you know. This is all written by the dodgy dudes. That's what you got to remember. People who are unelectedly instructing our lives with more mandates, you know, they're just perverts and horrible shit.
And they put it in like the reading material, so all this stuff like the story.
Nice little stories.
It'll be like a reader where the child's learning to read. It'll be about, you know, the transitioning and have the pronouns in it. Like they all embed it into just basic learning. Like I remember I used to volunteer when my kids were at school years and years ago, and I went to help them do their readers and stuff. I live around the corner from the school. And I remember one reader had something about a child going to line up to get his shots, to get his vaccinations. And that was a learning to read text.
Yep.
Well, and it was framed as like it was a good thing for Johnny, you know, going to get his special needles.
And parents shouldn't be alarmed that drag queens are in kindergartens reading these books to the kids. No, don't worry about it. Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
I have nothing against drag queens, by the way, but in that
I do when they're reading books to children. I have a big problem.
Well, I don't understand why that's happening either.
No one should be reading these books to children. The books should not have been written, and the people who wrote them should go to jail just for being perverts. You know,
so what's the real goal of this pipeline? It's not liberation. The outcome is a generation that sees itself as, you know, not as beings born from the natural duality of creation, but as malleable identities defined by a spectrum of state-sanctioned categories, identities that are fluid and therefore perpetually in the need of external validation and recognition from the very systems that define them. It creates dependency and it breaks the internal compass. While this quiet war on identity unfolds in classrooms and policy documents, a parallel system is being built. This one isn't about who you are, it's about what sustains you. It's a plan for control that's even more physical, and it flows right into your home.
Always.
So this is the other life source, which is SDG 6 and the control of water. So they're framing it as clean water and sanitation, okay? Which, who doesn't want clean water and who doesn't want sanitation? But if you've seen, you know, topics recently like Watch the Water and stuff like that, it's kind of, I'm not saying that I 100%, you know, are agreeing with all of that, but I do agree that if someone's treating our water and our system is manipulated...
It's an easy way to get shit into you. Like we all have fluoride without choice.
That was one of the early ones,
you know, that wrecks
gland.
the pineal gland, which makes you an idiot, makes you a sheep barring idiot. So,
well, surely most people have got filters now.
Well, they probably don't. Most people we don't know don't even drink water. Like most people don't drink enough water. So there's that as well.
It's not such a bad thing, I suppose.
Yeah, well, you know, you're probably better off without it half the time. If you're not drinking it filtered, I kind of wouldn't drink it. So God knows what's in it. You know, bloody hell, they only tell us so much, and yeah.
So with clean water and sanitation, and we see the same beautiful, impeachable surface, who argues against clean water? It's a basic human right. The image is of ending cholera, of children drinking from a new well, of a community saved from disease. It's the ultimate humanitarian win. You're meant to see the goal and simply nod, because opposing it feels like opposing life itself. And you're just terrible if you oppose clean water. So just like gender, we have to look at the past, the poster, and read the technical manual. The primary vehicle for SDG 6 is something called WASH, W-A-S-H. It stands for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene. It's the UN and the World Health Organization all-encompassing framework for making this goal real. And on one level, it's brilliant. Necessary work building pipes, treatment plants and toilets where there are none. That's beautiful infrastructure. The wells dug, the pipelines laid, it saves lives. And that's the point. It builds immense moral authority and deep physical dependency, because once you centralise a life source, you control it. You don't control the rain or the spring, you control the pipe, the valve and the treatment plant. You control the single point of a delivery for an entire community. And if you control the delivery network, what you control can be delivered. This is where the documents get quiet but specific. The WHO has a section on its website called Health Programs in WASH. It's a dry technical area, and it openly discusses using WASH platforms, the very water and sanitation systems built for health, to deliver what they call complementary health interventions. So just complementary, it's just some health
Don't
interventions.
worry about it. It's not mandated to drink this water yet.
But the language is bureaucratic, but the list is revealing. Preventative chemotherapy, vaccination, nutritional supplementation.
Nice.
Think about the logistics. You've built a centralised water system for a town. The population trusts it. They're grateful for it. Now, during a declared health emergency, the same authority that manages the water can integrate a preventative chemotherapy into that water supply, or set up a vaccination station at the central point of the well. The system built for hydration becomes the perfect pre-accepted delivery mechanism for mass medical intervention. The population isn't likely to question what's in the pipe, because the pipe itself is the gift that saved them. The mechanism gets even more flexible with what's called mobile sanitation mobilisation. That is a plan for rapidly deploying temporary WASH infrastructure, portable toilets, water tanks, treatment units into an area during a crisis, a disease outbreak, a flood, a refugee station. It's sold as an emergency aid, but the same WHO documents note these mobile platforms can be used to supply, quote, treatments to entire endemic populations. I didn't write it. So picture the scenario. A health emergency is declared in a region. Mobile WASH units roll into provide clean water and sanitation, which is desperately needed. But integrated into that life-saving service is the distribution of a specific treatment or preventative care.
I trust these guys too.
Preventative care sounds like what we need.
Preventative care, I need more of that.
To everyone using the system, it's a Trojan horse. The gratitude for the water disarms the question about what else is being administered. The humanitarian cover is perfect. This isn't speculation about poisoning the water, it's the logical endpoint of a system that merges water delivery with public health programming. Once you accept that the authority providing the water also has the mandate to medicate you for your own good, you've accepted a fundamental shift in control over your own body. The line between utility and treatment dissolves. But controlling what goes into the body is only one half of the equation. The full circle control requires observation. It requires data on what comes out and what brings us the final intimate frontier of this system. A technology that turns your bathroom into a checkpoint.
They love that shit. I think our local water supplies and sewer are all upgraded so they can put new sensors in. And now they can sense everything in the water. So when you do a piss, they know what medications you're on. If you were doing anything naughty you shouldn't be doing and you're tipping that down the toilet or whatever, they'll know which house that came from. So it's the ultimate surveillance tool now. Doing a shit is giving them more data. There's nothing you can do now. You can't fart without them collecting the data on your fart.
They can do like drug controls. They can see who's...
They find the drugs through it. They can find drug houses. They can know who's, areas where lots of drug addicts are. And viruses. They originally instigated these systems in Australia to track viruses in COVID. They suddenly...
Water surveillance.
Yep. So they suddenly found all this free money to go around, rip up all the pipes, put all these new sensors in them so they could track COVID. It's not just COVID they were trying to track. They can track everything through our sewer pipes now, which is crazy. Again, not shit I voted for, not shit I'm interested in. I think that money could have been well better spent, possibly just buying rope.
But you've got an SDG to put in, so...
that's right. Buy rope, build a guillotine. Money way better spent.
Okay, we better cut that out.
No, we're not cutting anything. Ah!
So this is called wastewater surveillance. It's a practice of testing community sewage to monitor for the presence of viruses like COVID-19 or substances like opioids. On paper, it sounds like the peak of smart, efficient public health, a way to get ahead of the outbreaks without intruding on anyone's privacy. Sounds like it's really intruding on my privacy.
Always.
It's sold as anonymous, as community-level data. Canada has built one of the world's most advanced national wastewater surveillance strategies, initially launched to track COVID-19 variants. The program has now officially expanded, so it wasn't just for that.
Funny how they've always got the technology right when they need it too, right before COVID, and, you know, right before anything.
Suddenly
Look, we just got all this stuff that does this. it can actually detect COVID. You're like, how did you even know what COVID was? You only found it last week.
Why do you need this?
We've got these pipes now that can check COVID. Oh, really? That seems strange, but anyway.
Well, it wasn't anything to do with this being implemented years prior.
No.
So, the program is now officially expanded. Its public mandate includes monitoring for influenza, RSV and opioids like fentanyl. The government website presents it as harmless, even benevolent early warning system. But we have to follow the logic to its endpoint. The normalisation step is calling it anonymous. That's technically true for now. The sample comes from a treatment plant that might service 100,000 people. But the technology isn't static. The resolution is increasing. We're moving from testing a city's sewage to testing a neighbourhood's buildings, a streets.
Well, that's kind of what they did in our town. They just upgraded it. So, you know, they call it sewer works and we all pay for this. Our rates pay for them
it goes up every year.
put in cameras to look at us, to test our poo in the sewer to see if we're doing anything naughty or you know, or whether their latest virus is working good enough or whatever they're doing it for. So, you know, you can't trust anyone.
So if the system can be calibrated to find the genetic signature of one virus variant among millions of gallons of waste, the principle is established. You could, in theory, collaborate it to find other things, specific genetic markers, hormone metabolites, pharmaceutical traces from specific medications. The claim of anonymity evaporates when you narrow down the source to a single apartment block or even one household. The toilet becomes a biometric data port. This shifts the entire paradigm. It stops being about public health surveillance and becomes more about population compliance. It creates a biosecurity grid where your biological outputs are constantly monitored. It's kind of bizarre, isn't it?
Can't have anything. You can't even do a wee without them knowing what you're doing.
Think of the applications under a regime that has also redefined human identity. Could this system one day be used to monitor the biological markers of an unapproved pregnancy? Could it detect the metabolites of a medicine that the state has deemed unnecessary or illegal? All under the permanent justified umbrella of a public health emergency.
Not the emergency.
The synergy here is chilling. SDG 5 works to redefine your internal spiritual identity to make you a fluid category in a state database. SDG 6, through this surveillance arm, builds the infrastructure to monitor and potentially police your external biological body. One goal makes the self malleable, the other ensures the body is observable and manageable. We've been looking at these as separate pieces of a puzzle, but they're not all separate at all. They're components of a single machine. So the synergy of these two goals are a single operation. This is the critical realisation. Agenda 2030 isn't a random nice list of ideas. This is an integrated system. The goals are designed to interlock and support one another in reshaping the very foundation of human existence. SDG 5 and 6 are perfectly coordinated pair. They represent the two pillars of a new form of control. One over your identity and your gender, and the other over your flesh. So it's quite full on when you really think about it.
It is. And these are just 2 out of 17.
Yeah.
So, and just FYI, number 5 is gender equality. Number 6 we keep talking about is water and sanitation.
And clean.
Off the UN's website. We're just reading what they write.
And all we're doing is looking behind the fluff, because they're talking about really wonderful ideals. Like we all want gender equality and we all want better water. So we're not saying that those things should not happen. We're not saying that some of the inequalities and the issues that are still existing in our world today are okay. We're not saying that.
I just don't trust the people who are implementing.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Behind the scenes, they use those covers or those fronts to do a lot more with those, because you can't dispute fluffy, nice things like, you know, making sure everything's nice and happy.
Everyone's happy and not being mean.
but the implementation behind the scenes is actually going on, okay?
Totally.
So it's the ultimate duality of control, spiritual and internal versus physical and external. On one side, you have the deconstruction of gender. The goal is to sever you from your natural spiritual roots. The masculine and feminine forces aren't just balanced within us, they connect us to the larger rhythms of nature itself.
Yin and yang. Everyone knows that symbol. It's there for a reason everywhere.
Well, look at animals, like, you know, they don't go and choose
They
their
don't get
gender.
confused, thank God. Otherwise, we'd have big problems. If all the animals suddenly turned into human confusion models, oh my God.
Although our male cats can be a little bit...
Yeah, male cats are a little bit gay sometimes, but that's okay.
They like to be...
They're a bit...
They're just happy to be sooks, aren't they?
They are, but yeah, it would be scary. If everything else acted like a human for 5 minutes, the world would end in about a day. The confusion would just cause absolute chaos. But I think chaos is how they build... You know, that's what they always build from. They bring in the chaos, like this kind of stuff, get everyone against each other, everyone arguing.
Divided,
and, you know, and then,
from
that they
from
build
our
order.
central identity, like who we
Absolutely.
are. Like it's, you almost feel guilty if you celebrate your own gender. If you...
How do you think I'm a white male? That's the worst shit you can be anymore. It's terrible. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being bored.
Well,
it sucks.
my daughter actually comes out, she's 15, and she's obviously caught up in a lot of this with her friends, and so you see the constructs happening, and she's trying to find her way and find her voice, and we let her find that, don't we?
We do.
But she'll come out and say, Mum, you're always looking for male validation, and I'm like, well, that's not true. Like, we actually are... We don't actually question what our roles are as gender. We just do our thing.
Do what we got to do.
So Matt will do the shopping and I'll go to work. Like, that doesn't mean
I
that
do
he's
all the
less of a
washing
man.
and shit. That doesn't make me less of a man, you know. Bloody hell.
But we just do what we need to do.
You just serve the purpose that you need done. It's not about who does what.
If he's better at something than I am, and it seems to be more gender specific,
which is nearly everything, so I've got to do a lot. Yeah, I'm busy.
It's hard, isn't it? Being the better gender.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I do have all that guilt from being a white male.
Oh yeah, well you should.
Makes up for
supposed to
making everyone feel inadequate or whatever's going on.
But I don't think that I think that when you already have that balance, you don't feel insecure about it.
I don't need to label everything I do either. I'm quite fine with just being a human and operating as a reasonably moral human.
Yes.
And accepting my place within it. I didn't ask to be born a male, and I know
it's
no
not
one...
bad to be a male?
No, it's not.
No.
It has its bonuses and it has some shitty bits. And expectation of other people's usually the downfall of most males, and the pressure put on young males and is expectation to act a certain way. So wait up. So society's done that the whole time. Now they're just going to flip it. So now they're like, stop being a weak pussy. And now they're like, be a weak pussy. Like, what the fuck's going on? Make up your mind, you fucking perverts. What are you trying to make us all do? You got to get it right, the first time. And this is the chaos. They create the confusion. They wanted strong males before, now they want weak males now. Why? Think about why.
Now,
they do. So think about why. I kind of have a few reasons why, which I won't say publicly, but I think I kind of know what's going on. And again, it's like, order out of chaos is what they're forming. And none of this is good for anyone's head. Like, you watch mental illness spikes around, say, number 5, the mental illness that gender equality is causing our young people at the moment is shocking. I won't go into the stats, but suicide is shocking for the people who are too concerned about what their gender is.
True.
It's massively out of control. And that is really sad. And I blame these people who write this bullshit for those deaths because they implement this shit. These children wouldn't have been confused. They wouldn't be second guessing themselves, for biological stuff that's real that they can actually touch and feel. So you've just thrown the spanner in the works. I think, the guys who write this stuff are just too fixated. I think they all hung around Thailand and the lady boys for too long, and it just became a theme. And to make themselves feel better about all the lady boys that they've bedded, they have to change the whole of society and make us all perverts, basically.
I think it comes down to the first thing that you identify as when you're born into this world is your gender. So you are, you're born, you have a physical
I got this thing hanging off me. There it is. I know what I am.
So you announce, it's a girl, it's a boy. And there are variables with that. I'm not ignoring
and
the
Hermaphrodites must be 1 in a billion. So it's rare.
Intersex now.
Oh, intersex. Sorry. Wrong label again. I hope I didn't offend anyone with that wrong labeling.
If you lived with that, that physical characteristic of, maybe both, or you may have, something not defined.
Well, I've got pretty big man boobs. Does that count?
Okay, stop trivialising it. because there are those people that exist, but it is rarer than
Really
our
rare.
masculine, feminine.
Really
So
rare.
that is the first thing that you see as your identity as a human is your gender. So you are a male or a female. That doesn't mean that you have to abide by all of the social constructs that have been around through the 50s and the pink and the blue and all of that. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, well, that's the extreme.
But you are known that as a female, I'm going to have periods and I'm going to be able to have a baby, and I'm going to have these characteristics that produce more estrogen. Like
What's this
simple
hate
things.
speech you're talking?
I'm just saying,
You're not allowed to say shit like that anymore. Biologically, you're not allowed to talk about real things.
But
you can't.
that's to me
It's
stuff
illegal.
that makes sense, because then I need to be able to be empowered with that knowledge, so therefore I can make the most out of my existence as a female.
Well,
in a
that
female
would make
body,
sense in a
right?
non-clown world, but in this version,
my male counterpart's the same thing, right? There's testosterone and
there is. It's a
we
real
share those hormones together, but one is more usually dominant than the other. So you have more feminine hormones as a female, more masculine as a male, right? So therefore it is a biological thing. I'm not making that up. So, when you teach a child that these are arbitrary social constructs, you cut that cord, you create a spiritual vacuum. And a person unmoored from their natural internal selves is a person more likely to look at an external authority for identity, for meaning, for validation. And then you homogenize it so you lose that identity about yourself. And on the other side, you have the capture of the water. This severs you from the autonomous health and places of your most biological function, which is hydration and elimination within a managed grid. The centralized pipe controls input, the surveillance of wastewater monitors output. Your body's relationship with the elemental constructs of water becomes transactional loop, administrated by a central authority, and your physical body is replaced by a dependent subscription. The end product is a new kind of human, denatured, desexed, spiritually neutralized, biologically monitored, a population whose most fundamental needs, the need for coherent identity and the need for clean water, are no longer personal or communal rights. They become administered services provided by the same centralized system that defines and categorizes and controls the flow. And this isn't a conspiracy theory in the wild sense. I know it sounds like it is. It's the logical, most inevitable outcome of reading the technical documents alongside the implementation strategies of the UN Globe. So the UN Globe pronoun mandate was one of those, which erases the natural language. The UNECE code lists bureaucratizes the soul. The education model around gender and around, what your body's, your network for your body and children is an issue. The WASH framework builds the delivery network for the body. The wastewater surveillance establishes the feedback loop. This is a closed system. This is a material implementation of what we might call, in spiritual terms, a dark forces agenda. The goal is separation, to separate humanity from sacred dualities of nature, to cloud our innate spiritual knowing, and to claim ultimate dominion over the elemental source of life. It's a war on the autonomy of the level of consciousness and cells. Seeing this blueprint laid out can feel very overwhelming. And it's designed to make you feel powerless. But the very act of seeing it clearly, of discerning the pattern, is the first and most powerful step out of the trap too.
And I think the spiritual keeps coming up as a topic. And I think the UN too are quite interested in forcing a one world religion.
Yeah, which we get to.
We've already got that. It's called money. It's been money for a long time. There are some hardcorers who still read some old books from caveman times.
I think those things go back to a reset too.
Absolutely, 2,000 years ago was a reset.
So that was a reset and a construct.
And they had to rewrite a book to make you know how to live.
So we're going to try and combine those constructs to one, but it's still going to have the elements of those, because that's controlled people for a long time. That worked.
Absolutely.
That worked.
But so all this, you can sort of see where they're heading with all this. They want you just homogenised. You're all going to be the same. You just stamp a number on your forehead, go to work, do what you're told.
Yeah, you're not masculine, feminine.
No, you're none of that.
No one knows what you are.
No,
so if you're androgynous,
you can't be religious, you can't be any of it, can't be spiritual.
Your water is controlled. So, your hydration, which is essential for life. So you are then fighting to comply so that you can actually have clean water, and that water, you can't control what they do in those treatment plants.
No. So, and you also, like, you know, aerial spraying, geoengineering wrecks the water, wrecks the soil.
Yep.
You got
So
all
even
this
when you
stuff.
get tanks
But these
and
are the
you
guys
try-
doing that.
Yep.
So, and then they're going to claim, oh no, look, something happened to your poisoned water. We'll bring some in for you. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, we've got these programs.
Trust the water, dudes. Trust the science in this water. Go for it.
All right, so I guess, you know, if you know more about some of the stuff that they've implemented through the 2030 agenda and you've been researching as well, share some of the policies you've found, because it just branches off like a massive dynamic that you can just keep researching and rabbit holing, which is what we do. We go and look behind the scenes to see what they're actually implementing. Check it out yourself though, go and do your own research. You know, there's some heaps more we're going to be covering. So the next one is affordable clean energy. And so it's 7 and 8, and then we have decent work and economic growth. So we spoke about clean energy and
which is total bullshit.
Yeah.
Like green energy, clean energy doesn't work.
And
we
isn't
know
that weird that it's number 7 and not number 1? No poverty was number 1.
Yeah, no poverty, which
Zero
is
hunger.
never going to happen.
So
No
affordable
poverty.
clean energy, it's never been affordable. I can tell you
No,
it has been
energy
going up
is
like crazy.
far from affordable. Unless they've got a new tech they're going to give us for free tomorrow, that's definitely not affordable. Our power's doubling every year. And it becomes less reliable too. They just have blackouts all the time, even though we gold-plated our systems here in Australia, apparently. And then the stupid government sold it to another country. So we sold our whole power grid and everything about our power to Singapore, who, like, I don't know, you know, we're not exactly an ally with sort of thing. And
Didn't think so,
I don't think you should trust anyone. Any other country should not be allowed to run your power. Like, but that's another topic. And power will probably be affordable because you're not going to have any. It's you'll own nothing and be happy sort of shit, more than likely. Their terminologies are always like that. Affordable and clean energy that you won't have. We will. You know, that's because they're do as I say, not as I do. That's how this whole system of the UN bullshit system works.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
You know, and then decent work and economic growth, just as AI is going to steal everyone's job. So there's no decent work left.
But I think they
You're
just want people to be like the, you know, working ants, working bees
economic
in
growth.
the...
Like this system of economic growth, you know, in capitalism, basically the whole world now is doing the same shit. It's unsustainable.
Yeah, it is.
You can't have growth. So we're getting always mixed messages from the UN. So we get, there's too many people on the planet, but then we get, there's not enough people being born on the planet.
Yeah.
Well, which do you want? Do you want no one, or do you want too many more? Like, everything's always like this. It's total confusion. But it also helps them, because when they're doing their bullshit speeches, they can pull either fact out. They can say, oh, no, it's good that growth is dropping, you know, in one hand, and then they can talk about something else and go, oh, yeah, no, like we're you know, out of control growth with too many people. And it's bullshit. So, like, economic growth is not sustainable. I think anyone with a brain will see that the opposite is now happening right in front of our eyes.
Next
everyone's going to go broke.
And what they're actually doing behind the scenes. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of a wrap for those
Yeah, let's
two.
wrap. Someone just destroyed our kitchen, so we've got to go and check out what that bloody noise was.
That's okay.
All right.
Things happen in a house of 6. It's all right.
It does.
So, so if you have any questions or there's anything you want to share about what's going on behind the scenes, please, you know, SDG 5 and 6, and then we'll be, going through the rest of them. There's a lot to get through, but thanks for watching.
So.